Winning Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, June 20th, 2013 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, could you please take the roll?
Commissioner Dorband.
I'm here.
Commissioner Johnson, I am here. Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Schaff.
Here.
Commissioner Stylen.
I'm here too.
Commissioner Zangara is absent with prior notice, and Chairman Rafato.
Here. Mr. Jennings, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there is a representative here for one of the other business items. What we'd like to do is move that up in front of the village docket so that we can discuss that first and not have the gentleman sit through our discussion.
Okay, great, thank you. So the first order of business is the interpretation regarding site plan changes at Fresh Farms Shopping Center. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. The staff memo on this, just by way of summary, it came to our attention that the shopping center had undertaken a modification of the parking area. I have a couple of photographs. This is it in progress, and then as completed, the staff took a look at this with respect to the section of the code that gives us guidance on interpretation of classifying a change to a site plan as major, minor, or administrative. We had felt that the item was enough in the gray area between administrative and minor, that what the code asks is that we seek the interpretation of the commission and confirm that the interpretation prior to finalizing the staff interpretation. As I'm sure the commission is familiar with this project, there's been a need to balance cart storage, cart return, parking, and the width of the fire lane in front of the stores there. The shopping center solution seeks to balance those items by sharing some of the space from the drive aisle with the landscape islands, removing all carts from fire lanes and removing all cart storage from parking spaces. So based on the guidance of the code with respect to administrative change, you could certainly make an interpretation that it is within the spirit of the original plan. We do have the original plan here. The trees are still intact. We would, regardless of how this is decided, we would work with the petitioner to recenter the trees that still seem to be totally intact in their original root balls. So possibly just a matter of making sure that they've got good separation. With that, I believe you have the section of the code that we're talking about in your memo. I did receive a couple of questions from the commission on this. The most similar item that we've had, we haven't had anything exactly like this. I mean, every case is unique. We haven't had an issue of a cart corral related modification. We did have, after the Westin was constructed, we worked with the developer and the hotel to make modifications to the front landscaping area in front of some of the outbuildings. There was an issue with the ramps, the slope of the ramps, and the stairways there. So they had to reconfigure that area. And we worked with them on modifying the landscaping. It was determined in that case that it was an administrative change. There was a handicap parking issue related to that. So with that, I have here to answer any questions.
So
Mr. Spigos is here as well.
just for clarification, we're here to make an interpretation as to whether this is a minor site plan change or an administrative change. Or can we go into this, even if it is an administrative change, requesting, I know there's been some questions about the landscaping and what's happening to that, and if we're losing landscaping here, what can be done to add someplace else? Can we do that within an administrative change and request things like that, or is this pretty black and white saying we go through here and say it's an administrative change or a minor site plan change?
I think the staff has already discussed this to some extent. I think that from the staff interpretation, regardless of the fact that the work is substantially complete, there's a couple of minor issues that we'd work with them on either way.
Okay.
And I think part of that is just communication. We haven't yet sat down and talked about it. They may be doing some of this stuff anyway. We just haven't yet gone through it. So we had noticed that some of the cart corrals are sloped back toward the parking lot. They may have noticed the exact same thing. We just haven't sat down and talked about possibly putting a lip so that the carts stay in the corral. So there's a couple of minor little things like that regardless of the commission's decision, we would still work with them to make sure that it works functionally for their shopping center.
Okay, so we'll go through with some comments from the board, and if you have something from Ms. Figos, please ask. Commissioner Johnson?
Thanks. Do we have a plan view of what they're doing or have done?
The photograph is our view. We have gone out and taken measurements to make sure everything's still complied.
But how many?
How many, yeah, exactly.
There are
I think 8.
8 total.
And point out where they are on there, Andrew, because
Got 1, 2, is that how you're counting them? Or are you
No,
counting?
count just one.
So
One count.
this is 1, 2, 3, let's see, there's 1 in here, 4, and then
5, 6, 7 total.
Okay,
We changed seven of the islands have been changed.
okay, and they're all on the driveway side, not the parking space side, right?
Right.
I think you
Now,
got
have we,
maybe 1 on this. Is this 1 on this side? Maybe?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, there is one. There is one. No, the one down
yeah.
in the middle there.
Okay.
So, okay, Andrew, just tell us which ones. Okay, because, your mouse is going. So
Most of the area that you see here, the landscape islands that you see
One.
here, I believe each one of these has a modification to it, correct?
So
All the ones in the front too, yeah.
all the ones that have circles around them? No, well,
These,
because I count 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 total.
So not the one to the extreme left, if we're looking at, well, anybody looking at it, the extreme left is not one of them, right?
No.
Okay. I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson, I just
That's
wanted
quite all right.
clarification, because I don't
And-
think we got it, so.
the drive area is still within code? We haven't pinched that off, that we're going to have problems there?
The drive area, this, if you can see here, I believe this line is as it was before. The borrowed space takes the cart corral and moves it out of what was a slightly restricted lane before.
Okay, go back to the other view. So where were these corrals before this modification? I mean, I see one way out in the middle on the left side.
They're
We say they're mostly They're mostly in the south side,
No, south side and north side.
and then there were some out in this area as
Right.
well.
So they were outside of the islands. So if you're looking at the bottom part where there's 4 in a row, they were outside the islands into
The drive area.
the drive area.
Which they still are, but not
Well,
as much.
But they're, no, actually, I shouldn't speak, but it's actually increasing the size of the drive area because they have taken them and put them within the island.
Okay.
So if you go to the picture,
Well, yeah, but on this plan, they weren't here.
Right.
So this drive area was much wider until they put the cart corrals in.
right,
And that's what I want to know, is was this the minimum? Because now we've actually taken
The
away.
drive area became original again.
Okay. Because it looks like the island got a little bit bigger with the corral.
I think that's just the concrete work. You see the dust. I think you're just seeing the dust from the other side.
Okay.
so if you go back to the completed one, so,
Yeah, you can see from this photo when it was in process still.
Oh, okay.
That's the original curb line, so, okay.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all I had. Thanks.
Commissioner Dorban?
Thank you. I think this is a great idea. I do see that it's going to widen that driveway area much more, obviously, and I think it's probably going to be safer. I actually like this, and we ought to keep this in mind for future developments anywhere that they would have a cart corral need. The only question I have, I was there a couple times today, and in many of the landscape islands, it's either very sparse or it's non-existent of landscaping. I don't know, do we have the original landscape plan available? No.
I'm sorry, I missed
Do we
part of
have
that.
the original landscape plan available for those landscape islands? Because it's very sparse there now. If you don't happen to have a picture of it, and I didn't think to take a picture of it today when I was there, but, you know, now it's going to be more accentuated with the fact that there's going to be so much more cement there and not as much greenery. So I just don't have the original landscape plan and wonder what was in those islands.
This is the original landscape plan. I added the red text because there
Oh,
was
okay.
a table of the plants that was way off to the side. So when I zoomed into this area, so this is the original. So what you're looking at on most of these islands, they probably have more. They probably put in more of the sumac to fill the space than what's on this plan, and there's probably slightly less of the blue stem. I would say on the south ones,
You said there's more in there now?
there's probably more sumac than
Now,
what this plan
okay,
shows.
but I'm not talking about the sumac, because those were green. They're more green bushes. I'm talking about the other ones that just have like the grass.
The other ones keep dying, that's why we went with more of the sumac. 'Cause we
Pardon me?
put- The other ones kept dying. We replaced them twice. And what you're seeing right now is they died again, so we'll probably replace them with more sumac because those do very well.
Okay, can we get a commitment from you that you would replace that with more sumac then?
Well-
So it would look green? Because it looks kind of, it's such a
the
nice
salt in the
looking
winter kills
center.
them.
I hate to have it not look nice after you go through all this trouble. That's my only concern, but I do like the idea of the cart corral. I think it probably will be a lot easier for snow removal too.
I think it's a lot easier for customers to move around than quit hitting them. I have a lot of customers banging into them when they're making the turns.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to hold off until the end to ask whether we feel this is an administrative change or they have to go through a minor site plan. I will hold off on that. Commissioner Steilen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no problem with making this an administrative action as long as we can take any of the vegetation that, I think the landscaping islands were, I don't want to say cut in half, but a lot of,
About 30%.
third of it is gone. Any vegetation that is lost as the result of that slimming down of the island, I would ask that it or something similar be relocated on the sites, and I think on the south side of the building by, what's the name of the street there, Center, I think, probably could use just a little bit more bushes, maybe down by the loading dock area and stuff. If you would just, take whatever landscaping you lost and relocate it there, if we could do that as an administrative action, I would be in favor of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Thank you. I have only a few questions. The westernmost parking area where you show carts in there, does that remain carts in there? Right under where it says Little Blue Stein?
No, there's no carts in
There's no carts in there?
That's just the original plan.
That was the original plan.
We ran out of parking spaces immediately.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Because usually you take up parking spots, and in this case, you're not going to be able to do it. Losing half of the landscaping, or a third of the landscaping there on that southern edge is a trade-off. I feel like Commissioner Stylen, it's just in this particular case, it's a trade-off. So you lose the landscaping, you gain the drive.
I thought the drive was more important.
The drive is more important than the landscaping. In this particular case, I would agree. Those are my only comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers?
Thanks. I would kind of agree too that I would think this is an administrative type of change. The only question I have is, Andrew, this was the approved plan for this development, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So, I mean, knowing that the carts, aren't there, and it's just the spaces are being, and some of the landscape islands were, cut, would there be any need to revise the landscape plan because now things look different, or we just go with this? I mean, is there any need to revise the plan so we have a plan that's representative of what's going in there, or there's no need to do that?
We can always note with the file that this was done either way. We can go to we keep with the original approvals. We have the ability to add notes to the folder.
Okay, then I would suggest we kind of would add notes, at least add some kind of notes that says, the carts in the parking spaces weren't there, and then as of this date, the landscape islands were cut, vegetation was removed. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. I just, the reason you're doing this is the fire department said that the lanes are too tight, right?
But they mentioned it in the past.
Yeah, okay.
And customers mostly.
Customers mostly. And I won't get into why you started this work without talking to the village, because it's a good idea, though I just don't understand why you didn't come and talk to the villages.
I just thought
as much time as you've spent here, Mr. Speakers, you would have thought that you would have come here.
It's so small, I didn't think anything of it,
It's a good
Consider
idea.
more landscaping just,
Right. So the question, the two things that are on the table, Commissioner Dorban asked for a little more sumac in those areas. Okay. Are you agreeable to that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then moving some of the landscape to where Commissioner Stylen suggested. Are you agreeable to that?
No problem.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll start with Commissioner Johnson. Do you think this is an administrative change or a minor site plan?
Administrative change.
Commissioner Dorban? Oh, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
Like you, I'm disappointed that they didn't come first. I
Right.
assume they would have to get permits to do concrete work.
Yeah, we'll still work with them on the permit. We may have to leave it, it's exposed right now, so we may have them leave it exposed so that our engineering inspector can just check it while the back of the curb is still available to be inspected.
Okay, great. Commissioner Dorban?
Administrative, as long as everything is,
Right.
the Ts are
And
crossed and the Is are
I'm
dotted.
assuming Mr. Sfigos has said he would do that, and we'll probably have it in some minutes, so we'll do that. Commissioner Steinle?
I think the real benefit of this change is to get the carts out of the parking spaces. You're
Absolutely.
going to get cars parking in the parking spaces, which should help immensely, so administrative.
Commissioner Powers?
I would say administrative, and I just would like to see a couple notes thrown on the landscape plan stating, what happened on what date, so we have some kind of history.
Great. And Commissioner Schaaf?
I think it's administrative.
Okay, as do I. So you'll work with staff to ensure that we have the increase in landscaping in the areas that we suggested. Mr. Jennings, you have those?
Yes.
You do, and the addition of sumac.
Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Okay. Items for review, docket number 2013-11, continuation from June 13th. Village of Wheeling amendments to Title 19 zoning. Mr. Jennings.
This is a continued public hearing. The commission asked last week, during the course of the discussion, that the various items discussed be incorporated to a revised, incorporated into a revised draft. That revised draft has been prepared for your packet. The primary changes discussed were a request to remove the verbiage related to a waiver of the covered parking requirement, which has been done. There was a request to remove the language that had been suggested relating to accessory storage for automobile service stations. That has been done. Then the last thing, and what you see on the screen right now, during the discussion of multifamily, there were a couple of changes made, multifamily parking requirements. There were a couple of changes made. One was the request made by the commission to increase the requirements for townhome parking to be more consistent with what is typically provided in the newer developments. That this has been unchanged from the meeting last week. This is the language that was discussed. Then the next one down is for multifamily developments other than townhomes. The commission asked for the code to reflect that smaller buildings would require a certain minimum number of unreserved visitor spaces. At the time of the meeting, the staff was still working on the exact language for that. We believe that this does accomplish that goal. It's a requirement that would be applied across the board the way that it's written. For a larger development, that number of spaces is fairly small and should be easily absorbed into the parking lot. For a smaller development, for example, if they were required to have 12 parking spaces, now this would be 17. So it provides the buffer that the commission was seeking on a smaller building, and then in a larger development, it would be a fairly unnoticeable increase. Are there any questions on this docket?
Yeah, Andrew, I think that multifamily other thing just reads kind of strange, where you got 1.7 spaces per unit, 2.2 spaces per unit, and 5 unreserved visitor spaces. Per what? Not, obviously not per unit.
It is per development,
That
regardless of size.
probably should be worded as such, because then you've got a minimum 10% of the total required above shall be unreserved visitor parking. To me, it just reads a little confusing. Maybe it's just me.
So inserting the word,
I don't know.
Well, what if you, well, I'll wait for other comments.
How about the last sentence, if you just change, is it a minimum of 5 plus 10%, Andrew, that we're
that
shooting for?
that 5 could be inside the 10%. It's just the minimum of the 10% total is going to need to be unreserved. You can't reserve all of the spaces for residents. You have to have some reserved.
No, but I mean, if you were to say a minimum of 5 plus 10% of the total parking, but then you might, for big places, you might come up with 5 extra, right?
Yes, that, we were accepting the 5 extra on a big place.
So then you could just add a minimum of 5 plus 10% and get rid of that oddity up above, I think.
Just take it out, move the 5 unreserved down. to
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be a minimum of 10% of the total required above shall be unreserved visitor parking plus 5.
And no less than 5 at a minimum.
No, because you could, if something came out to 3.7, it would be 4 plus 5 would be 9. In your scenario, I believe it would just be 5, what you just said.
Yes.
And I think we would want 9.
For a 6 flat?
I think that's what we were trying to attain.
That seems like an awful lot of asphalt for a 6 flat.
Well, you know something, though?
No, for a 6 flat, you'd only need two visitor spots. So if you take the 5 and 2, that'd give you 7.
7.
Right, plus the ones for the units themselves.
Plus the ones for the units, right?
So that could be another 12. If they're all 2 bedrooms.
Whatever.
But I think in that case, we were looking for 7.
I'm concerned that we're sitting here, we're all confused. What about putting an example in each one of them so that we know, so a developer doesn't misinterpret this? If we're having issues interpreting what is being said here, a developer is going to do the same thing. So I think, would an example fit here where it would be more clear?
Could I try to lay like a baseline is like I would interpret this? So if a developer came in and they had like, I don't know, 10 one-bedroom units and then 10 two-bedroom units. So for, you take the 10 one-bedroom times 1.7, that's 17 spaces, right? That's how that would be calculated. And then the 10 times 2.2, that's 22, so that's a total of 39 spaces for that particular development, correct?
Right, and then you take that and multiply that by 10%.
You get 3.9.
So that's 3.9, so that's 4.
Right.
Plus 5
Right.
is 9.
Okay.
That's what they would have in that scenario that Commissioner Powers just.
And I think that if an exhibit was, an example was put in these so that people understood how the calculations were determined, we're not going to get ourselves into trouble down the road in how a developer is seeing it.
So what I understand is, I just want to be clear, if I'm modifying the requirement, the code as it is right now, the 10% is part of the total,
Ooh,
Right.
part of the total.
which is the reason that the commission last week asked for that buffer of 5.
Plus 5.
So the 10% is applied to the bedroom requirement. So you have a bedroom-based requirement, 10% of whatever that requirement is can't be assigned to a unit. You have to have them available to guests.
Right.
That number, plus a flat number of 5, is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
So I
Exactly.
will have a table that says that.
Oh, understood.
That's what we're looking for.
That's what
Commissioner,
we're looking for.
Commissioner Powers just said it. And in that case, like we said, 17 to 22 is 39. 10% of that is 4, plus 5 would be 9 in that case.
Yep, that's what I think.
A 6 flat of 1 bedrooms is
10,
10.
yep,
So 10% of that is 1, plus 5 is 6.
yep, 16.
So we have 16 for 6.
Yep.
I will do 2 to 3 potential developments, kind of focusing 1 in the small range, 1 in the medium.
I can't hear you.
I'm going to do a table that has 1 small building, 1 medium-sized development, and then 1 larger development.
Right. So is everybody clear on that? Clear as mud?
Yeah.
No, I got it. I just wanted to be clear for
Right.
somebody coming in.
So the other 7 changes that we had, there were no updates for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We had one where the commissioner requested that this proposed amendment be removed from the draft. So we're taking that one out right now, correct?
It is not, as the motion reads right now, it references the new date of this document,
Okay,
which is the June 20th.
okay. So are there any other questions about any of these proposed amendments? If not, can we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Schaaf, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. Mr. Secretary, please take, whatever you do, the roll.
Commissioner Schaaf.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson votes yes. Commissioner Dorband.
Yes,
Commissioner Powers.
Yes,
Commissioner Stylen.
Yes.
Chairman Rafato.
Yes,
And
with no hesitation.
1 absent.
The only reason I hesitated was there were 2 that were removed. One was the parking lot landscaping screening, but we removed that last time. And then the outdoor storage for service stations was also removed. Right, so there were really
2.
2 removals, not 1.
The motion had already been updated
Correct.
to absorb all of that.
Okay.
But thank you for saying it out loud.
Okay, all right.
That
So-
was my confusion.
Okay, so, but we're all right, okay, great.
and it was helpful that you took the whole thing in there and put the changes in there. That was helpful. Appreciate that.
And just for clarification, that motion did have the condition that staff insert a table illustrating the calculations for the multifamily parking requirement.
Great, thank you. Motion to close?
So moved.
second.
Voice vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of minutes, May 30th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes from June 13th.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Other business. Oh, we'll wait for Mr. Jennings to come back.
Other business, I have just a couple of notes. I sent an email prior to the meeting Next week's meeting has been canceled. We had also previously discussed that the July 18th meeting would be used for a land use review seminar with our attorneys. We have already found out from a couple of commissioners that they're going to be unable to make that meeting. We'd like to find a meeting where we have a better shot of full attendance. We are currently looking into the attorney's availability for August 19th.
So August 19th.
Excuse me, let me just check and see which. One is it would be the 15th. The 19th is a Monday.
August what date?
August 15th.
Oh, 15th.
Well, we had it down for the van tours. Is that right?
I think we're gonna have to find, we might put the van tour on an off day.
That's fine.
We might do a extra special meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to do that, if we can, sometime in August, as if we get into September, it starts getting dark earlier, so I was just going to bring that up, so thank you, Commissioner Powers, that if we could do that in an off meeting, that would be great. Okay. So our next meeting, Mr. Jennings, is July 11th, right?
That is correct.
Okay, great. Anything else?
That's all I have, thank you.
Brooke, anything? Other business. Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. Number one, I happen to be looking at the contacts list on our iPad, was going to send an email out and notice that our new commissioners are not in the contacts list, so maybe that could get updated. And number two is our priority list had the streetlights for Wolf Road somewhere down, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 down if I remember correctly. And I don't know what the current state of funding issues and all that stuff is, but as that date gets closer and closer, leaves us less and less time to work on that issue. So I suggest that maybe that have a variable priority that's based upon when we have to submit something either to the state or county or whomever it is, so that we have plenty of time to work on that item before it actually gets due. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jennings, anything on that?
I can check with the manager's office and see what the status is.
Is everybody in agreement that we should push that up on our priority? See where that's at? Okay, I'm getting a lot of nods, so.
Yes.
If you could, and if you could get back to us either through email.
Sure.
Because it's going to be a couple of weeks before we meet again. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Stylen. Commissioner Powers.
Just one thing, any word on the Southeast TIF presentation, how that's coming, when we may see that?
Yes, I would expect the board date for that is going to be finalized in the next couple of weeks. We're targeting July 8th for the board. There's a couple of questions for the board that we need to seek some direction on prior to scheduling the public hearing with the commission. So the public hearing with the Plan Commission would probably be either late July or early August. But I would say that you can go ahead and pencil in the July 8th board meeting, and we'll be in touch. But you can pencil that in now, check the agenda, and we'll send out word when that's totally confirmed.
Okay, thank you, I have nothing else.
Commissioner Schaaf.
I have nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Nothing for me, thanks.
Commissioner Dorban.
Nothing, thank you.
Andrew, I just have a question. These pop-up little stands that are selling
Blackhawk stuff.
Blackhawk stuff. Are those,
To my knowledge, there is one.
right,
It did go through, we have
excellent,
we have an itinerant merchant license process.
great. Okay, I was just curious how that worked. Excellent, thank you.
If you're looking to compete, I can get you the,
No, but I just,
Going down in our corner?
yeah. They're just amazing how they pop up that quickly. They're just,
it surprisingly started coming to us, what would you say, 3 weeks ago? It's been a while.
well, you know, some of the, and if you're aware of it, but some of the malls do like pop-up stores. Just either little carts, or if they have a space, they'll lease it for a short period of time to a store, and they call it a pop-up store, and boom. My sister-in-law did one in Water Tower Place, and for Christmas, and she thought it was just going to be a pop-up store, and I think she negotiated something, and she's still there. So they're interesting, so sort of cool. If there's nothing else, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second? Do I hear a
Second,
All those in
with
favor?
hesitation.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.